It was one day I was at school learning that I loved college, and then the next day learning that I had to have brain surgery. My name is Kia Sarton. I'm technically a junior at Ball State, and I'm a dietetics major. My freshman year, I was riding in the car with my roommate to Bloomington. We were heading down 69, and I had a seizure. I was in the passenger seat. I was originally supposed to be driving, so something made me not feel like driving, so I decided not to drive, and so I had a seizure. Went to the hospital. They ran some tests. I thought I would be in and out. I thought maybe I had epilepsy or something. And they came back and told me that I had a tumor about the size of an egg between my brainstem and my cerebellum, and that was quite large, and that it needed to be removed immediately. So I emailed my professors and said, I might be out for a week or two, and that I'd be back, and hopefully they would let me do my work from home while I recovered. And so within 3 days after having the seizure, I went through surgery and came out, and there were a lot more complications than I had originally anticipated. I don't think I had time to fully comprehend what was happening to me. I couldn't use pretty much most of the left side of my body. I didn't know how to walk. I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't put sentences together. So I began my recovery, spent about a month in the hospital doing inpatient therapy, and then spent the rest of the summer. So that was at the beginning of February that I had the surgery, and I spent until about March in the hospital, and then from March until I went back to school in August doing outpatient therapy, learning how to talk and walk, and basically go from kindergarten all the way back to college level within those few months. One of my therapists had similar health issues, and she had an option to go through brain surgery to try to fix it or just kind of live her life the way it was. And originally after my surgery, I told her, don't do it, because the surgery ruins your life. I told her not to go through with it because it was difficult, and I wish I would have just let the tumor go its course, had a good life while I could, and then once it took my life, I would have died happy. After therapy and I got through it, and I got through the initial depression and struggle, I was very glad that I went through the surgery because I have many, many more years. So I went back and I made sure that I told her, just because I was down, I'm sorry that I said that. But it shows how frustrated I was during the situation. And it was difficult in therapy because I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that it was so easy to me just a month prior to do those things, but during the time, it was the hardest thing I had ever done. My perception originally was, after the surgery, was that I didn't want to be here anymore. I don't know what happened to me. My life is kind of gone, and I felt that everything was taken away from me that I had worked towards. Now my perception is that I have a lot of things to work for, and I need to work as hard as I can, because while obstacles come up, I need to make sure that I work for them because I can reach them. And there are a lot of people that have a lot of struggles, but if I work hard enough, I think that I can get them. So life isn't as happy as I felt it once was. I didn't really see the good and the bad in the world. I just thought I just went along with things. But now that it's happened, I feel like I see a lot of the good and the bad, and I work towards the good. My first semester of college was amazing. It was really great, and I loved it. And I felt like my life was I felt like I was on cloud nine. I felt like life was falling together. Everything was coming together. I knew where I was going, what I was doing. I had friends that loved me, and so everything was perfect. And then that's why I think the news of the tumor was so devastating, was because I felt like everything was finally coming together, and then it all started to unravel and fall apart. Even though the tumor is gone for the most part, they couldn't get everything because it was on my brainstem, so there are tiny microscopic specks still there. And the doctor let me know that there is a chance of it growing back. And so I have to get routine MRIs every year to make sure that it's not growing, and so that when it does start growing, that we can go back and take the precautions that I need to get it taken care of before it becomes a giant issue. Side effects that have happened from the surgery or anything really, I have a hard time putting sentences together. I work very hard to speak eloquently and use big words like I used to, but it's still very, very hard. Sometimes it takes me a while to think through my thoughts and really figure out what I want to say. And I try hard not to let that show, and I know a lot of people tell me that I do a good job because they don't see the struggle, but I know deep down how hard it is for me. And then there are some times that I get very dizzy and I get headaches quite often, but they're just minor prices to pay, I guess, for having my life and being alive.